Good morning. The Steelhead Nation podcast is back. All right. Now we can get started. All right. The sun's out in the Pacific Northwest, so I'm a happy guy because it has been dreary for months.
The longest rainy season ever.
And I know that a lot of people take their valor from being able to soak up the winter and be a winter steelheader. But there comes a point where you want to put on shorts.
Well, it's only so much suffering for suffering's sake.
That's right.
And then you go, I wouldn't mind a little sunshine on my skin.
Yes. Yeah.
I look like Gollum right now.
Very much so. We were just talking about why we are not wearing shorts today. It's 77 degrees. We're not wearing shorts because these lights would reflect back onto the camera from our white legs.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think my legs are whiter than my shoes.
So I posted on, I had a customer mention something on Facebook because I posted on Facebook that, you guys know we love our Bigfoot stuff. Tell us your Bigfoot story, something to that effect. And there's some really interesting stuff on there. But in one of the comments, somebody said that they heard some crazy stuff when they were up the Trask one time. And they were talking about how it's squatchy country up there. And I said I have personally never had a Sasquatch encounter, but I did have a big cat encounter up the Trask. And the customer said, well, that would be a good topic for a podcast to talk about some of the crazier encounters you've had in the woods, right? So I figured I'd start with you because I could tell my story anytime here, but start with you. You've spent a lot of time in Alaska.
Yep.
And many days on the Oregon coast. What's the scariest thing that wasn't like, almost sinking your boat that ever happened to you? Like the freakiest sort of backcountry story you got?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I had lots of times in Alaska, a lot of bear encounters there, being around them. One particular one I remember very distinctly. We were at a camp on the Togiak, myself and my two co-workers, Sam and Vic. And Vic forgot to put the garbage on the plane, left it right outside. We had two tents, a cook tent and a sleeping tent. And the sleeping tent had 3 beds in it. Yeah. And big weather port tents, like a wooden floor. It was still canvas. Yeah. And, the Vic had left the trash bag leaning up against the wall right by the door of the sleeping tent. And I slept on one side.
Rolled out the red carpet.
Oh, man. I slept on one side. Sam slept on the other. Vic slept in the back of the tent. And I wake up to a bear eating trash, probably, separated by a wall of canvas,
like
but probably a foot from my head.
Yeah.
And, my dog was sleeping under the bed and she was growling.
Yeah.
And Sam wakes up and we kept firecrackers to try and chase him off. So he lights a string of firecrackers and pushes it under the tent flap and it, bang, 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 whole string of firecrackers. Bear runs off, runs about 5 feet, stays there.
Yeah.
It wanted that garbage.
Yeah.
And so we got up. I had a shotgun, we kept it in the tent. Got up, fired off a couple times, ran a little ways.
Just scared him.
Didn't run away though. And we really got to the point where I was very concerned we were going to have to shoot a bear. Yeah. Because it was a young bear and it was very annoyed that we were trying to chase it away from its garbage. And we're yelling at it, and it's a whole commotion. And finally it leaves. We peppered it with a little bird shot and it finally left. Yeah. Although begrudgingly so. Yeah. So And I'll never forget. We turned around. Vic slept through the entire thing. Slept through the firecrackers.
The shotgun.
Slept through the shotgun. Slept through yelling. He just snored the whole time. He never woke up.
And it was his fault.
And it was his fault. We were pissed. But the funniest part was that he never woke up for the whole. I mean, somebody's shooting a shotgun inside a tent.
Yeah.
You know, just stick the barrel out the door and shoot. And
Nothing.
he slept through the whole thing.
Yelling at the bear.
We're yelling, "Hey, bear!" You know, firecrack the whole thing. Dogs barking. Slept the entire time.
What did he say when he woke up?
He just was embarrassed because he forgot the garbage, but he didn't know anything happened. That was probably the weirdest one.
So you didn't have any weird, like you're by yourself and you come across something strange?
I've spent plenty of time, you know, archery hunting and rifle hunting and, you know, fishing and I've never, I mean, I've come across bears before, you know, just bears.
Yeah.
Although never tried to eat me or anything.
Yeah.
I've seen mountain lions. They never tried to eat me or anything.
Yeah.
It's pretty much.
How far away? Mountain lion.
Oh, 25 feet.
24 feet too close.
Yeah, really, about 80 yards too close, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just never have had that I'm going to get eaten moment.
No, thank you. Big cats scare the shit out of me over everything else.
They are scary.
Over everything else. Do you hear the story? I think we talked about this on another podcast where the guy was sitting in the hot tub and the big cat swiped him in the back of the head.
Yeah.
Sitting in the hot tub with his wife. So I was on the Wilson River one summer and sun was going down on the other side of the mountain. All I had, didn't have a pistol or anything, just had my fishing rod and the headlights coming down the highway flash on the opposite side of like it was dusk, and I was on my way back to the truck, and I just caught the glimpse of like two little gleams on the other side of the river. And in the summertime, that river's higher up is like a creek.
Yeah.
And I just saw the eyes, and I was like, what is that? Like, I thought maybe it was like, sometimes you just see those like ribbons or something on a tree. Maybe it caught some light or whatever. And so I looked, and then another car came by and I saw him, bing. And then it moved. And as I was walking, it was moving. And I was like, I'm being tracked by, I couldn't see any more of what it was. I could see, as there came a certain point where I could see it move, but I couldn't see how big it was. It had to have been a cat. It couldn't have been, it was too high up off the ground to be like a raccoon or a possum or something, you know, or even a bear. It didn't have that vibe to it. It was slinking along, like, you know what I mean? And the hair on the back of my neck went up. I'm like, what am I going to do?
Channel your inner lion tamer.
Yeah. No thanks.
Get a chair. Right.
So I backed my ass all the way up that hill and got in the truck and peeled out of there. But, oh man, that was scary. And one time when I was real young, I was sleeping in a tent with my brother at Little Grass Valley Lake in Northern California. My dad was sleeping in the back of, I think we had a Suburban at the time. And he was sleeping in the back of the Suburban. Me and Cobb were in this little tent, and like a nylon tent. In the middle of the night, you just hear this like, you know, like if somebody like brushes up against a tent, you know, the nylon.
The nylon.
Yeah, and it was, and you could see the inside of the tent like come in, and then you just hear this, and it was, I mean, I couldn't tell what it was. I assumed it was a bear, but I couldn't tell what it was. And it sniffed around and bumped up against the tent again. It was kind of shaking it a little bit, and then took off. And me and Cobb, you know, I was probably 8. Yeah, I was just a little guy, and that means he's 10, and we're just like freaking out in the tent. He's like,
it was your dad.
No, no, I wish it was. Because we got up in the morning and park ranger came by, because it was in one of those campgrounds, you know, like the done up ones. park ranger came by and she's like, there was a bear last night going through campsites. Make sure you lock up your food and all that stuff. And thankfully, Dad was smart enough to lock up everything.
Yeah.
But had I snuck a Snickers into that tent, who knows what would have happened. Yeah. That was scary.
You might have made a new best friend.
No.
Yogi, would have been Disney style.
Yogi was
your
not.
New Baloo.
Baloo.
I remember once I was on the Upper Nushagak. I will say I was on the Upper Nush. We were up by the mouth of the Clutis Pack.
Yeah.
And there was just below camp. And we stayed up there by ourselves. And they didn't really have a lot of... I loved it up there. It was one of my favorite places.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't have a lot of clients flying out there that time of year because most of the clients for the lodge were flying to over to Moraine and Battle and Queejack and some of that stuff. And so I'd have, I'd be there. I stayed there for like 3.5 weeks, and I might see clients like twice a week. The rest of the time I was just kind of left to my own devices to wander around and shoot ducks and catch salmon. And it was pretty great, actually.
Yeah.
Explore. And so I was walking around. I had a shotgun with me, and I was walking around, and there was like this little tiny channel of the river that kind of, the river up there braids up a lot. Big river, it's kind of big and deep and fairly swift. Lots of log jams and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Big trout and salmon. It's really cool. But it braids up a lot because it's kind of flat and out in the tundra up there, and so I was just walking. There was a little braid, and I kind of beached my boat at the bottom of it, and I decided to walk up and see what was up there. And I kind of walked up the thing, and I got up there, because the sockeyes will go up there, and then the trout will follow them, eat sockeye eggs and stuff. And so just exploring, looking for places to fish.
Yeah.
I got up there, and there's just a little riffle, and it kind of went around the corner, and I went around there, and I've never seen more carnage anywhere I've ever been. The bears obviously had found that the sockeyes get stuck in there, and there wasn't a blade of grass for 20 feet to the water. I mean, anywhere. It was just pounded down the mud, and there was just sockeye carcasses everywhere, pulled up and chewed apart. That was maybe one of the few places I ever went where I was like, well, I'm gonna get out of here. I'll come back here again, because it was creepy. Like, you could tell there was so many bears.
They're coming back.
Oh, and they just hammered that spot. I've never seen it where, like I say, it had to be a good 20 feet.
Yeah.
There wasn't a blade of grass left.
It takes a lot of bears.
Everything. Yeah, it just had been, or the same bear spends a lot of time there, and just dead fish everywhere, carnage, bear crap on everything. I was like, this is not the place to be. It's really, and once, another story. I have so many from being there. Once I flew to Moraine. This was a good one. I flew to Moraine, and it was me and another guide. We would fly to Moraine. You'd have 2 guides, 4 clients, and take 2 and 2. And it was a husband and wife and their 2, like grown kids, probably, upper teens or low 20s. I don't remember because it's been a long time. And the mom was terrified of bears. And Moraine is full of bears. And you would, at Moraine, you'd land on what was called Crosswind Lake, little tiny lake. And if it was really difficult to take off from Crosswind Lake with a full plane.
Because of the crosswind?
No, if the wind was blowing, it was actually easier. But because it was so small, and so the beaver would land there, and if it had a full load, it could be pretty dangerous trying to get off. And so what they would do is they would land there, with all 6 of you. You'd go fish. You had to walk from Crosswind Lake out to the Moraine, across the tundra about a quarter mile or so. And then you'd fish all day, and then you come back to Crosswind Lake, and then you'd put half the people on the plane, you fly them over to a bigger lake, and then come back and pick up the other half of the people, fly to the bigger lake, pick up the other 3, and then fly back. So it's a safer way to take off from this little tiny lake. And there'd be tons of planes on it. It was a real popular place to fish for all the lodges, so a lot of traffic there. And there's a lot of bears at Moraine, lots of them. And the lady I was with was terrified of bears. And so we fly back. She wants out of there first thing. So she wants to be on the first plane. So I'm like, okay. So me and her and one of her sons get on this first plane, and we fly out to the bigger lake down below. And there's kind of like a big peninsula on this lake. And so as we fly in, we're looking, and and there's some bears kind of on the backside of this peninsula, but it's a pretty good trek over the top, and they're going to leave us on the other side. So, a couple bears, not a big deal. There's always bears everywhere. So they land and leave us there, and they take off, and it takes about 20 minutes, 25 minutes maybe, for them to go over land, get the other people on, take off, come back over and pick you up. And so we're standing there and we're waiting, and pretty soon those bears come up over the hill behind us, and it's like Sow, and she's got 2 cubs with her, and we're like, wow, that's okay. But you're standing on a big beach, and so we were like, we'll just walk farther down the beach. If she's going to come over kind of right behind us, we'll just walk farther down the beach. So we start to walk down the beach. Another bear comes out on that end. He starts fishing for sockeyes. And they have lake spawn sockeyes, so he's fishing in the lake. And he's pretty close. He's maybe 30 yards down the beach. So I'm like, well, we'll just go the other way because it's farther down. So we start to go the other way. And some other bears come down on the other side. So now we have like the sow and 2 cubs behind us on the hill, maybe 20 yards, and a bear on the right 20 yards, and a bear on the left maybe 40 yards. And so we're just kind of stuck there. So we're standing just like, okay, I guess, and we'll just stand here. Yeah. And these bears are doing their thing. And man, we must have stood there with those bears because you couldn't go anywhere. There was nowhere to go. We were just stuck standing. There's a lake on one side and bears on the other 3 sides. And so we stood there for like 10 minutes. It was about 10 minutes until the plane got back. And when we got on that plane and took off, there's 11 bears on that little peninsula with us. So we were like, oh my God, it was so crazy.
No, thank you.
But
yeah, when we go to the sportsman show here in Portland, every time I get 4 or 5 people that come up with a Bigfoot story and they want to tell me their Bigfoot story. I love the idea of Bigfoot, that there's some sort of mythical creature running around in the woods that no one's found. But I'm not going to say I fully believe in Bigfoot because I think it's so fantastical that at this point in the game that we haven't, with all of the cameras and planes and drones and all the stuff that we haven't caught something, like definitive proof.
Yeah, like we haven't found a dead one yet. Just like,
right?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, so I'm not going to say that it couldn't be, because there's all kinds of creatures. We're finding all different types of species of creature all over the place, at the bottom of the ocean, Galapagos Islands, all that stuff. But I've personally never had a Bigfoot encounter.
Yeah.
I would love if we actually had definitive proof that there was a Bigfoot of some kind, somewhere, anywhere. I don't care where it is, because I like weird stuff like that.
Well, and the idea that there could be something so wild that we have not managed to find in tens of thousands of years of humanity.
Correct.
Would be awesome.
Yeah, and so, there's all kinds of evidence pointing towards, there's tons of eyewitness accounts on stuff, but there's no definitive proof. Just like aliens, right? The government has released definitive proof that there's stuff that they can't identify, but they can't say that it's for sure an extraterrestrial being, right? But I get these people come up and they tell me these Bigfoot stories. And this guy came up and he gave me the most convincing Bigfoot story I've ever heard in my life. And this is a couple years ago, and I'm probably going to take artistic license with it because it's been a while. But I'll give you
as best you can remember.
I'll give you the quick rundown of what it was. This family's at a cabin, and this is in Washington. Family, a whole bunch of people are at this cabin, and the cabin has big giant windows in front of it, faces the woods, and there's a huge porch. And the guy said that the porch was easily 6 feet off the ground. And Grandpa's sitting in a chair facing the windows. The rest of the family is facing him, and they're playing a board game. And Grandpa's just sitting there, and he's like, eyes wide. And the family's going, what's wrong? What's wrong? He's not saying anything. He points. And if you're listening to this and this is your story, I apologize if I'm taking it down the wrong path, but this is the gist of it, basically. they all turn around, and Bigfoot is walking by the deck, and he's easily 1.5 feet taller than the deck. And they were like, the guy was like, clear as day, not a bear, not, sorry, my phone's going, not any of that stuff, just a straight up, unidentified, only thing they could call it was a Sasquatch or Bigfoot. And they all saw it. And they were just like, and it just sauntered off into the woods, right? But the way the guy was telling the story was like he was recounting the birth of his child. Like it was so convincing that this dude, if he's lying, and I'm not saying he is, but if he was, this guy needs an Oscar. It was so convincing. And I was like, that dude honestly believes that he saw a Bigfoot.
Yes.
So there's that. I've never had a Bigfoot encounter.
It would be awesome if Bigfoots were aliens.
Wow.
That would be the best. That would explain it all.
If Bigfoots were aliens.
Yes.
So check this out. This is hilarious. So you know the iconic photo of the Loch Ness Monster?
Mm-hmm.
That black and white, grainy photo of coming out of the water.
Yeah.
Right? Researchers now believe that most likely that iconic photo is a whale dick.
Like a whale just on its
It's
back?
a whale's penis coming out of the water, and then it showed a bunch of pictures of whale penises coming out of the water next to that picture, and you're like, yeah, 100%, that's a whale penis.
Do whales like just float on their back with their dick out of the water all the time?
Apparently they do. Apparently they do. Yes.
So I know exactly what you mean, because I've seen the same exact
the
thing.
authority on whale penis?
No, I'm not. But I saw a post. But like I think like certain whales, in order for the female to have the highest chance of
Impregnation.
impregnation, yeah.
Yeah. Is that a word?
Who knows?
Yeah,
Who knows?
It is now.
It is now. That there'll be two males and they'll mate with the same female. And so, one is busy doing his thing, the other one will just be floating on the side. So it's basically like a whale threesome.
Waiting for a whale
Waiting to get that high five. That high fin.
The Eiffel Tower. The whale Eiffel Tower.
It's like WWF style. No, but I think these were like killer whales that they were showing. I don't know. But
is the loch attached to the ocean?
It doesn't mean that picture was actually taken there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Even though they say it was, it doesn't mean that it actually was. There's no proof because it's just water. You can't really tell.
Yeah.
Again, not an authority. Don't come at me with your you don't know what you're talking about BS on YouTube comments.
Or you can if you want to.
I guess if you want to. If you
nothing
know
that'll
more
stop
about
you.
the whale penis versus Loch Ness Monster story, I
Feel
would
free to
love.
share.
I'd feel free to share your comments. However, I'm convinced 100% that was not a Loch Ness Monster that they took a picture of, that it was a whale penis, because it looks identical.
If it was a very well endowed whale, it might still be the Loch Ness Monster.
Zing! So, that said though, if it was taken and the loch is not connected to the ocean, then how the hell did a whale get in there, right?
Lived there for a long time.
Yeah. A lot of people have said it was a log. Some people said it was
Oh, I've heard it was a toy.
like a
magged up.
fake paper mache monster
Yeah.
that they were floating around out there or whatever. But it's pretty convincing whale penis story.
You know that the Google search trends for whale penis are going to go up
Through the roof.
way higher after this.
Through the roof. Reminder.
We're all
I need
getting
to email,
flagged by
I need
the
to
FBI.
email our advertising agency and tell them we need to buy whale penis keywords on Google right now.
Hurry up.
Actually, that should be the caption of this podcast.
It should just be like whale penis question mark.
Whale penis question mark with a picture of the Loch Ness Monster.
We'll do a thumbnail where you guys are like,
Just be careful where you be careful where you position the whale penis.
No, it'll be the Loch Ness Monster.
So, what? Interestingly enough, what really creeps me out is when people say they've seen, like moms and babies, Bigfoot cubs. Have you seen that?
I've never heard that.
So I watch a lot of Bigfoot stuff on Discovery Channel, like Finding Bigfoot and that type of stuff, because it fascinates me. Alien stuff fascinates me. Chupacabra stuff.
Dude, all that.
Like
Cryptids.
Dog
They're
man.
called cryptids.
Is that what they're called?
Yeah. Yeah, like cryptids are like the sort of real fake animals. The ones that we can't prove exist. So Chupacabra and
I'm like that dude
the
from
Jersey Devil and
yeah,
all that stuff.
What's that show? Expedition Unknown. Watch that guy. I'm like that dude from Blink-182. I go down that rabbit hole, man. I mean it.
He just kind of got proven right, so
I know,
hey,
right?
go for it.
But there's a bunch of sightings where people said they saw Bigfoot and Littlefoot together cruising. That would be weird. That would be super weird. Because if you were a person who has experienced that, you're like, I could understand seeing from far off a bear walking on its hind legs, trying to get up into a tree or something, and you think it's a Bigfoot because of, through the trees and low light, whatever. But to see two upright creatures cruising,
I will tell you this, like your brain it plays tricks on you too.
That's true.
Because like the first time I ever saw wolves in real life,
that cat across the river could have been a possum.
Dude, the first time I ever saw wolves in real life, I'm running a boat.
Yeah.
And
real wolves.
Yeah, real wolves.
Yeah.
In Alaska.
Yeah.
I'm running a boat and I'm going up and I was like, what is that on the bank? And as I'm running this boat, my brain was like, it's got to be a mountain lion because it was like the size and shape of what it was. The only point of reference my brain had to like explain what it is. And then I got up there and I was like, holy Christ, they're wolves. And if you've never seen them in real life, they're freaking giant.
Giant.
They're so, like, you expect them to be
like Great Dane tall.
They're huge and long, dude.
Yep.
They're like 6 feet long. And
I saw them in Yellowstone.
Yeah, and so, but I'd never seen real wolves in real life 20 feet away from me. And so my brain was like, oh my God, that's a mountain lion. I don't even think they have mountain lions there.
I was watching Little House on the Prairie the other day with my girls. And there's an episode where the neighbor kid and Laura Ingalls come across a wolf den and bring the mom got injured or killed or something, and they brought no, the mom was in a trap and got injured, and they came across this wolf den with all these puppies, and they brought them back to the farm, and there was this whole big thing about it, right? But they brought this wolf and her puppies back to the barn and were caring for them because they were in a trap. These are straight up collies.
Yeah.
It wasn't supposed to be a wolf, but these dogs were like, it looked like
Lassie.
A black Lassie.
It was Lassie.
Yeah.
They just spray painted Lassie
like
black.
A wolf at all. And so, like, my 7-year-old, she's sitting there watching it, she's like, that doesn't look like a wolf. That looks like a regular dog. I'm like, because it is a regular dog. Also, if it was a wolf, those kids would be dead. They would not walk over to a wolf in a bear trap and
take its leg
out of the trap. There's no way that would ever happen. And this is straight up like house dog. That was supposed to be a wolf. But then you think back and you're like, TV back then was so crappy. Like the resolution of the TV, like you could get away with a lot of different stuff. Like all the stunts in those the old shows and stuff.
Yeah.
That's like supposed to be a little girl floating down the river that fell in the river, and it's 100% a full-grown man in a wig.
With a beard.
He's got a cigar hanging out his mouth. It's not even close. Yeah. But back then, on those old tube TVs, you could get away with a lot more. Anyway,
I think also back
it was
then,
hilarious because it was not even remotely close to a wolf.
I think back then too, the suspension, the enjoyment of what you were getting to watch and the story meant you just suspended your disbelief and watched it.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the problems now. Everybody's like, oh my god,
it's because everything gets filmed. That's why I'm so skeptical. As much as I enjoy hearing about it and the idea of it, I'm so skeptical of things like aliens and Bigfoot because every person has a camera on them now. Every human being has a camera, with the exception of like tribes in the middle of nowhere. Everybody has a camera on them, and you're telling me nobody's gotten definitive proof of this yet?
See, I think
any of it.
I think aliens are a different thing to me.
You think?
Well, because I think it's mathematically impossible that there's not some sort of
form
life
of life form.
Now, whether it comes here and hangs out with us, that is very.
What the hell would they want to do with us? If they're able to travel through space and time,
I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus Christ, dude. The last time you sat in traffic, you were like, man, if I ever come back to this planet again, it'll be too soon.
Yeah. Why would they want to come and talk to, I mean, why would they want to come and be involved with the planet that invented Blippi?
My thing is, like if you're an alien and you can travel through space and time, that would be like you going to visit an anthill. Why the hell would you care? You'd be like, I don't care about that thing.
You wouldn't care at all.
You have no interest in it. There's so many other great things you could do than be here. But
I think you're onto something with what if Bigfoot, big feet? What's the plural of Bigfoot? Is it Bigfoot?
Just put an S on the end.
Bigfoots? Is it like
It'd be like
octopi?
Now they're big pie.
Yeah. Anyway, whatever the plural of Bigfoot is, if they're aliens.
Well, I mean, then we wouldn't find dead ones, and they probably wouldn't be all around. And maybe.
So, Wes Yancey, guy who does modern outdoor media, he posted a video where he was talking about something, and he was walking through the woods in somewhere in the Midwest, wherever he lives. And at one point, he's just talking. He posted a video like he didn't know it was back there. And at one point, there's a Bigfoot walks in the background.
Yeah.
And he posted the video, didn't say anything about, I can't believe there's a Bigfoot back, nothing. It was about something else.
Yeah.
And all these people saw, and clearly it was staged, right? Or was it?
Or what?
Only Wes knows. I'm sure it was. The guy's a great marketing guy. So anyway, the first time I saw it though, because I just see his content come through. The first time I saw it, he got me. I was looking at it, I was like, oh, there's a video from Wes. Oh my God! Does he know? It's pretty convincing. It's pretty well done.
Do you see that one that they had from the Upper McKenzie? It's been like 10 or 12 years ago. Somebody was going through a rapid, and they were filming the rapid, and there was a place where, like, as they went through a rapid in a drift boat on the Upper McKenzie, there was in the video, so, people were like, "There's a Bigfoot." It was
really.
I think it was the same thing.
Yeah, staged.
I think
90% of these things are staged.
Yes.
You got a story?
We should do that.
We should do it? No. Well, we wanted to do when we had the shop on I-5 with all the berry vines out there. We wanted to do a big giant cutout of like Bigfoot silhouette and set it in the berry vines.
But we were afraid the homeless would steal it.
Yeah, they would have stole it. It'd be firewood.
Yes.
Or they'd defile it.
Those
guys are sick.
That was a messed up.
That's a different podcast.
That's a different podcast.
So, I'm interested, if you guys have Bigfoot stories, I want to hear them. Because, again, I'm super interested in that stuff, and I watch quite a bit of it.
Yeah, I love the idea of it. It'd be cool if it was real.
It would be cool. I don't think that Bigfoot looks like our wooden Bigfoot out front here with the big ass.
The big booty.
Yeah.
He's big booty.
Yeah. Bigfoot Kardashian. He's big booty.
He's big booty.
Yeah. I would do. Does Bigfoot exist? In like the eastern part of the world.
Well, like Yetis, right? It's basically a white Bigfoot.
They have that like Siberia and stuff like that. They
I
have
think
that.
so.
They have.
And there really
it's
was like what is it called, Gigantopithecus, which was like essentially Bigfoot from, because it's just like dragons, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I'm sure ancient people long time ago found fossils and went, "Holy Christ, it's a dragon!"
Yeah, like
It was probably Tyrannosaurus Rex or whatever.
giant gator or something.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, there was Gigantopithecus, which was
Yeah.
like a giant ape that
Yeah.
existed and looked, so you're like, probably pretty easy
I've
to
seen
understand.
some of those shows too, where they talk about like how big animals were before humans and all the stuff, right? Like freaking, what are those things?
Dude, like beavers that were like 10 feet long or
saber-tooth
whatever.
tigers and stuff that were
Yeah.
just like
500-pound salmon.
massive. Yeah,
Because there was like giant salmon. They were
That's
like
true.
500 pounds.
that's right. That was not. There was giant salmon that were like compared to now, like massive salmon, like big as that fish over there. You
Yeah.
know, but not that long ago, 100 years ago. On the
Yeah,
Columbia.
I mean, think about the June hogs on the Columbia.
That's right. Yeah,
Those were the biggest salmon in the world. I think they got up like 100
100 some pounds. Yeah, huge. Can you imagine?
Would have been nice if they were still here.
Yeah, right.
Good
Well,
old commercial canneries.
Good old humans.
Good old humans.
Well, when we're all gone and the aliens come down and wipe us off the face of the earth,
When Bigfoot comes down.
Bigfoot in a flying saucer. Now there's a shirt. Bigfoot in a flying saucer.
That would be pretty good.
Yep. I want to do a shirt with this alien and a Bigfoot, like one of those Simpsons aliens, and like the Mars Attacks Ack aliens that like, high fiving a Bigfoot, cruising across the water, trolling in like an old disc UFO.
That'd be pretty good.
That's where my brain goes. To Weird Town. Immediately. Well, when the aliens come down, and if they're not Bigfoot, and they wipe us all out, or the zombies wipe us out, all that will be left is Bigfoot. Zombie Bigfoot.
Dude,
Zombie Bigfoot. Now that's a horror movie. Can you imagine? Zombie Bigfoot?
I think I feel our new Halloween shirt.
Zombie Bigfoot. Giving away the secrets on the podcast. Zombie Bigfoot.
Good thing nobody listens.
All right, that's a wrap.